And we are back, y'all. Welcome to another Hot Jobs with us here at Hire Military, where this week, hopefully the tech is working. If you were with us last week, you will know the cluster that was this performance because we just couldn't see any of your comments. And that really discombobulates me because I love to be able to interact with you as I am talking. It is a skill, but I can do both things. Welcome. If you have not joined us before, you're in for a treat today. We have a special edition of Hot Jobs with us here at Hire Military. If you are old school and you've been around a while and you've watched a few of these, it's amazing to have you back. Thanks for joining us. This is our favorite time of the week, and it is the time that we get to share with you any advice, encouragement, support that you need right now. So if you have any questions at all for us, please do put them in the comments, because at the end of this live, we will go to the questions and answer as many of them as we possibly can. Really, though, this time is for us to share our newest and greatest SkillBridge internships and permanent positions, recs, that we have with you. So hold fire for those. Those are available and everybody is eligible for the direct hire opportunities, military spouses, veterans, transitioning service members. As you are most likely aware, when we talk about SkillBridge, that is solely for those transitioning service members amongst us. Oh my gosh, there are comments in the chat. We are working today. Paul, hi, it's great to see you in Atlanta. Brian, lovely to have you here. Luis, Lely, Kate Wood, one of our recruiters, is here in the chat today as well. Joe, Leanne, Stephen, wonderful to have you. Please do share with us as well what sort of opportunity you are looking for. Is it SkillBridge? Is it direct hire? Whereabouts? What sort of business industry unit are you interested in? And the reason we ask that is because if we don't have anything that is relevant or of interest to you today, we want to know what our population is looking for so that we can go out and talk to our corporate partners across the US and really try to engage and get those roles for you. So I would also love to know if you have the time and if you want to share how you heard about us. That's always great information for me. Before we get going, why don't you check out our hot links on the event description? You will see them there. We have a great resource around the beginner's guide to an effective LinkedIn profile. It really is a one-stop shop to show you, demonstrate to you, identify for you how to really maximize and optimize your LinkedIn profile. If that's too little and you need a lot more than that, definitely join Mike Quinn. He has a Mastering LinkedIn webinar next week. And if you're not familiar with those, they are 2 hours of your time that you probably and hopefully won't want back again, because he takes you from the beginning of creating your LinkedIn profile and really the value of LinkedIn through to maximizing your success in terms of networking. We often talk about networking through LinkedIn. It's all well and good us saying these things, but what does it really mean? And he teaches you that. If you are in the market to make job applications at the moment and you haven't read our resource on our website, which is around targeting your resume and really creating a bespoke and successful application, then I compel you to take a look at that as well today. Again, we talk about targeting your resume to make a successful application, really highlighting and demonstrating who you are and why you would be the perfect return on investment for the recruiter recruiting for a role. But often we tell you what to do, but we don't tell you how to do it. So as a consequence, we have created that document for you so that you really can get into the nuts and bolts of it and see what we've done. We've taken an indicative job description. We've then taken a resume and we've pieced the two of them together to really demonstrate and highlight the best practice here. Like I said before, if you do have any questions for us, we want to make this as interactive as possible. Please do put them in the comments because we really want to be able to answer anything for anybody today. Whilst you are in the chat and you are sharing those, two further points I want to highlight to you before we get to the introductions are the fact that if you go onto our website, hiremilitary.us, you will be able to see all of our requisitions. So that's the direct hire, the permanent job opportunities, as well as the SkillBridge internships that we are sharing this week. Really, this LinkedIn Live is a highlight reel of what we have. We only talk probably around 7 to 8 opportunities in total. So don't think, ugh, they've got nothing for me. Stop, pause, be proactive, take a look at what else we have. And again, if there is nothing relevant for you there, you have the opportunity to tell us that you are a job seeker by joining one of our 2 talent pools. One of them is for SkillBridge only candidates and the other is for permanent job seekers. So let's make some introductions. If you have been around a while and you've joined us on more than one occasion, you will see two very unfamiliar faces here. I'm going to introduce those two people in a second, and we're going to have a chat with them, which I'm really excited about. But before we do that, if we haven't met before, I'm Lucy Robinson. I'm the Senior Director here at Hire Military. Been here at Hire Military for around 2.5, 3 years now, and have always worked within the talent acquisition team. I am a military spouse and my husband is active duty Air Force. We are currently stationed, if you're familiar with the Air Force, at Eielson Air Force Base, which is located just south of Fairbanks, Alaska. And if you are familiar with Alaska, you know we go straight from summer into winter here. And currently, unlike the rest of you in warmer parts of the country, we are sitting at a balmy 24 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's chilly outside for us today. But I am so excited to introduce Jack Child and Andrew Bowden with us today. If you have joined a couple of our lives recently, you will be familiar with the opportunity that we have shared, the franchise opportunities with veteran service brands, and they come to us today from veteran service brands. We've talked about it. We've given you our take and perspective on these opportunities, but who better to share what they are all about? So let me take a moment to introduce Jack. He is a 3-year US Army veteran, 7-year US Air Force, recently retired Delta captain, and he is the founder of G-Force's franchises for veterans. And they're the first franchise exclusive to vets. Literally, there is nobody within their organization, within their wider network, that is not military affiliated. Andrew joins us from his truck because he is between jobs today, which I absolutely love. And he is an 8-year active duty Army veteran and it's still currently serving 9-year Utah National Guard with the Army. He is the owner of G-Force Parking Lot Striping of Utah. And I'm really excited to have both of them to talk to us today. So, hey guys, how are you?
Well, Lucy, thanks very much for having us. Appreciate you.
You are so welcome. So, Jack, I'm going to come to you first of all, because I've given my spin the last few weeks on your franchise opportunities. But can you tell us briefly about the 4 organizations that you have within your franchises?
Sure. As you mentioned, G-Force, we're involved with pavement markings, parking lot striping, anything kind of to do with parking lots. G-Force was the very first franchise brand created exclusively for veterans. We were the first ones to do that. I knew a little secret about the parking lot striping business. It's not very glamorous. It's kind of a stealth business. It's not one folks are typically interested in. In fact, of our 41 owners, if you polled them, not one of them would have ever imagined they would be in the parking lot striping business. But once you dig a little deeper, kick the tires and you learn more about it, there's a lot more to that business that's it's quite interesting. And so we wanted to share that with the veteran population. I think for many vets, it's a really great business to get into. I think I'll let Andrew speak to that as one of our franchise partners. We started a second brand called Field Ops, and that brand is involved with athletic field markings. We were getting a lot of calls from our G-Force customers saying, "Hey, can you stripe a soccer field, a football field, pickleball courts?" And while there are many skill sets that are similar and the same, some of the equipment's different. And frankly, our folks were just kind of too busy with G-Force to deal with athletic fields. So we said, well, there's got to be a market for that. In fact, the market was bigger than we imagined. And that's also a very, very low cost franchise. We were another reason for starting Field Ops is because sometimes we were having to turn some folks away who were really a good fit for G-Force, but they didn't have quite the money that was needed to start that business. Field Ops is a super low cost franchise opportunity. And then Mach 1 epoxy floors, that one kind of came about because we're almost sold out on the G-Force locations. We have about 2/3 of our market is already spoken for with G-Force, and a couple of our folks wanted to add another service to their portfolio, and we looked around and we saw a lot of opportunity in the epoxy floor space, both residentially and commercially. And being an Air Force veteran, the whole G-Force Mach 1 thing, I think you detect a trend here. So we launched Mach 1, and then interesting, and we hadn't planned this, but we launched a third new franchise almost back to back to back. Wasn't by design, but our very first franchise owner at G-Force, his brother-in-law was in the house painting business, and he had grown his business to about 10 or 12 crews out doing the work. And I thought he and I had spoken a few times because of the other relationship, and he finally said, I think I want to share this with my fellow vets as well. And so we helped him franchise that business, and that's called Paint Corps, and it's like Marine Corps. If you say Paint Corps, then you're not eligible to join us. But anyway, so those are our 4 brands, and like I said, I'm honored to have Andrew with us. Andrew was our Rookie of the Year for 2021 and our Franchise Partner of the Year for 2022. And we're very lucky to have Andrew on our team.
That's absolutely phenomenal. Thanks, Jack. Can you tell me just briefly what your motivation for creating these opportunities specifically for vets? Why vet only?
Well, I'd been in the franchise space previously, and I had some struggles. And one of the major struggles, oddly enough, was having the franchise owners and their crew to show up in uniform. And our uniform is very simple. It's a logoed shirt with dark pants at the time. We have a slightly different uniform now. It's a logoed shirt, and we like digital camo type pants to show a little bit of that veteran-y thing, but also it helps hide paint splatters. So practically
multifunctional.
Right. So having these battles over something as simple as a uniform was really kind of a little bit demoralizing, and it made it difficult to maintain a brand standard. I had a couple of vets, and we'd worked aggressively to recruit veterans, and it was really hard to get their attention. We even went so far as to offering a free franchise at the time, trailer, equipment, paint, free franchise, free training, and all that. We were able to recruit a Purple Heart veteran to that brand. But still, all in all, I had maybe 3 vets in my group, and I found that they were the easiest to work with. They understood, how to get things done, and whether it was good times or bad times, we were working together for the same mission. And so I said, if I want to recruit vets, if I really want them, maybe I'll just make it about them. And so we built the brand about the veteran. Everything that I've done is really not about me. It's about my fellow vets, in particular post 9/11 veterans. At the time I got interested in veteran employment and veteran franchise ownership, back a few years, veteran unemployment was 20%. And now, thankfully, it's much, much lower. But that was my commitment. I was a pre 9/11 veteran. I had it so much easier than my post 9/11 folks. Our opportunities open to all veterans, but it was really kind of designed around the post 9/11 veteran.
Thank you so much. And Andrew, I'm going to come to you. Can you tell us, we were talking just now, and I was finding it fascinating asking you questions around colorways and stuff, but what does an average day in the life of a franchise owner look like? And I really do want to highlight, you won Rookie of the Year in 21. You won Franchisee of the Year 2022. So you're obviously really good at what you do. How have you done that, and what does a day look like for you?
Good question. Every day is a little bit different, so no day is exactly the same. You're going to get up, you're going to make sure you have your jobs lined up, you're going to get with your team, make sure everything's lined out, have all the equipment you need, have all the material you need, but you're not just going to go out in the field and help them. You're still answering phone calls, you're taking leads, you're talking to general contractors, you're making sure to take pictures for not only advertising and marketing, but there's just so many things that you've got to do, and so it's no day's the same, and that's the big thing. So we could do a job today that, like we just did this morning, we did a little bit of seal coating, and now we're going to be restriping that later today. But now we're off to another job where the guys are going to be doing a new parking lot. It's not a new one, actually, it's a restripe but this customer asked for a very specific type of paint. So that's something else that you're going to be looking at is, okay, are we looking to get a specific color? What's the needs of the customer? What's the wants of the customer? So those are kind of the big things. And then, a lot of people think, hey, at the end of the day, everybody's going home. Honestly, you're going to go home, but you're not going to fully relax. You still got things to do admin wise. So your day's kind of pretty busy, but it's productive. And that's the good thing. Like, you actually feel like you've accomplished something every day.
And I think, that really resonates with our military population here, accomplishing something every day. But I'd like to take it a little step further. So obviously you were doing the day job, but like you said, you go home in the evening and there's the operations management because it's your own business. You have to manage it.
Correct.
And something that you just said, this is a restripe. So, there's residual business. It's not just you're not doing new parking lots. If you have a great success, if you deliver to the customer satisfaction, you are going to be invited back. I think, Jack, when we first spoke, you said parking lots or specifics have to be restriped within a certain number of years every time. So, it's not a case of doing a new facility or a new location every single day ad infinitum. You are building up, residual business as well. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, because you're working really close.
Oh, we've lost you. Oh, look at that. And on that note,
finish this sentence if you like.
Hey, please do, Jack.
So there's no law that dictates certain restriping. But the environment creates that. If you look, I'll ask those who are at all interested, drive around and take a look at parking lots. You're going to find out there are a lot more parking lots out there than you realize, and there's a lot more paint on the ground that's wearing off. And if you find paint on the ground, that's pretty much what we do, including airports. We're now venturing into the airport marking space, and we've created a division called Air Ops. And we're not doing, O'Hare or Atlanta. We're doing the smaller regional airports, the taxiways. These are really interesting projects. We send folks to get certified on airfield markings. So Andrew is one of probably about 8 of our folks that we've sent through airfield marking training. There's a lot of the interesting thing about this business, kind of the sky's the limit in terms of what you can get into with paint on the ground and associated services. He mentioned seal coating. That's that black surface that you apply to asphalt. Crack sealing. There's a huge market for crack sealing that's out there. A lot of our folks are now adding those types of services to their G-Force unit as well.
That's amazing. And while we've been talking, Jack, quite a few people have put that they're interested in veteran service brands in the comments. Andrew's back with us. Look, that's what we have to do. We have to be able to work it during these lives. But before you leave us, I'd like, Andrew, if I can come back to you first of all, if you've got a good service, and then to you, Jack. Before you leave, what is one thing you'd like everybody to know about your opportunities? Because the way that you positioned it, Andrew, it really did bring it to life for our audience here. And I just said to Jack, we've had quite a few people throw in the comments that they're interested in hearing more. So what do you think somebody who is really considering this kind of opportunity should know based on your experience?
So just from my personal experience, and I think it's been great with the franchises general. I came in with absolutely no knowledge of this business whatsoever. I was very intrigued with it. I wasn't sure how well it was going to work, but between the team that the corporate has put together and getting the training done, the leadership and the camaraderie that we have within all the different franchisees and the corporate office, it's easy to make phone calls. It's easy to talk to somebody. If you're ever stuck in a problem, there's always somebody there to talk to you and help you out at any time of the day. And that's funny to say because a lot of people think that's probably not true. I've actually made phone calls in the middle of the night and I've been able to get answers from somebody. So it's great, but you're definitely going to get what you put into it. So if you think the phone's just going to ring for you, that's not necessarily going to be the case. You really need to go out and work for it.
And when we spoke before, Andrew, last week, we made the comparison to you being a parachutist and how you trust and rely on your Army comrades to catch you when you fall. And you said that this was very similar here.
Yes, very much so. So you got to have that team around you that really trusts you. And, for parachuting, you don't want to be in the sky actually under a parachute with people you don't know or don't know what they're doing. And so having that team around you that knows what they're doing and knows how to like work together makes a big impact on your day as well.
Wonderful. Thank you. And Jack, back to you just before we finish up and we bring the higher military recruiters back here. What is one thing that you would like everybody to know in terms of this being your business and what you've seen in terms of success? Who would make a great person to join your team?
Well, someone who's a team player. Andrew mentioned that. In fact, Andrew just returned from flying to Atlanta on short notice on a large scale warehouse. We also do work inside warehouses. That's a huge piece of our business now. And we brought in Andrew from Salt Lake and David from Indianapolis. He drove down to Atlanta to help our Atlanta operator, who's one of our largest, but it was a 5-alarm fire for 3 customers all at once. So we called in the cavalry. So we're looking for folks who are willing to kind of drop what they're doing and help their fellow veterans out. We want folks who are equally committed to the success of others. And if you're committed to their success, your success is going to flow as well. We're looking for folks who can embrace the brand, be brand ambassadors, and also we want them to be fierce about customer service. All right, the customer, our brand sells a lot. It pre-sells, if you will, but at the end of the day, you still need to earn their business, and you need to live up to your promises and deliver. And if I could add one more thing, we found in speaking to a lot of veterans, most think it's not affordable to get into business because they don't have $75,000, to spare. But almost every one of our franchise owners has gone through funding of some sort. So we have third parties that help with that. I'm working with a federal credit union dedicated to veterans that's interested in helping. So we have resources. So if you're interested in a business, whether it's something from Veteran Service Brands or something else you fall in love with, don't hesitate to look around for money. Use other people's money, and that's how you can get into business for yourself.
Thank you both so much. I mean, it's always a pleasure for me to talk to you both, but it's been wonderful having you here today. And just as we segue and bring the recruiters on, if you are interested in this opportunity or at least hearing a little bit more, you can throw Veteran Service Brands in the comments here and we will share a URL with you, or you can go to our highermilitary.us website. If you click on the jobs, permanent jobs, and then go to franchise, put in the chat franchise opportunities, those 4 opportunities will come up and they will direct you straight over to Jack and his team. It was wonderful to have you. And I'm going to say goodbye now and welcome the recruiters.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Matt, Buff, Brandy. Hey, you've been hanging out. You have. So why don't we just get into it? Who's going to go first? Buff, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself and then go into our SkillBridge internships that we have to share today?
Thanks, Lucy. I'll get right into it. That was fantastic having Jack and Andrew on. My name is Before Agby, but my coworkers call me Buff. It means you're in the inner circle. I'm out here near JBLM, Washington, living in Tacoma, Washington. 20-year Army veteran, combat medic. And I am now been doing talent sourcing with specifically in SkillBridge for higher military for about 1.5 years. I retired about 9 months ago. I'm a product of the SkillBridge environment. Let me speak about SkillBridge. It is for active duty service members only. Okay, it is calculated from the last 6 months of service. So if you're ETS or EAS, you backwards plan from 6 months from that. That is your window to start a SkillBridge internship. Again, for active duty service members only. All services nationwide. And unfortunately not military spouse or veterans. So that's a SkillBridge program. What we typically see in the SkillBridge program is during that 6-month window, you typically do about 90 to 120 days of internship, of actually interning. The rest is calculated in your terminal leave, household good movements, relocation, etc. So again, active duty service members, last 6 months of service calculated from your ETS date. I have a couple opportunities, SkillBridge opportunities I want to present, and this is going to dovetail off the G-Force Veteran Service Brands organization. Not only are they looking for franchisees, in their organizations, they have 2 locations that they're looking for operations managers for. One's Orange County, California, and one is Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, where they have a couple of vacancies open because the amount of work that's coming through in their locations. Our G-Force partner is seeking skilled candidates to establish a nationwide, statewide corporate managed territory and looking for qualified personnel to establish and maintain operations in the SoCal, again, in Dallas, Fort Worth locations. The ideal candidate is passionate about customer service. As Jack just said, you have to be customer focused. And the basic qualifications is just looking for a project manager that can manage schedules, communicate timelines with crew members, subcontractors, and customers. Again, that's their primary goal. You're going to be managing inventory and operating in a defined budget. But as Andrew spoke earlier, he came in with no background and just a passion, and he was able to lean on his left and right coworkers and other franchisees to answer questions along with the industry. The qualifications are looking for 3 years of project management or estimation experience. Sometimes it'll help if you have a construction background, but if you don't, again, reach back out and put an operations manager, G-Force, and we'll connect with you. Okay, the last role I want to share with you guys is a continuous improvement leader with our another great partner of ours, Masonite, and the location is Colfax, North Carolina, just north of Greensboro, North Carolina, in between Raleigh and just north of Charlotte. So what Masonite is looking for is a candidate who is responsible for lean transformation, process improvement, global standards training in their Colfax location. The ideal candidate would have a bachelor's degree in engineering, quality or operations, supply chain management, with 5 years experience in operations in a transactional environment. If you don't have a Lean Six Sigma black belt, a green belt, yellow belt would be helpful. If you're interested in something along the continuous improvement line leader role, just drop it in the comments for Masonite, North Carolina, and we'll reach back out to you. And finally, one of our long-lasting partners with Texas Instruments, they're looking for somebody with a mechanical experience for a facilities technician coming up next month. A cohort in Dallas, Fort Worth. Again, Texas Instruments, 23 October is the start date. If you have a mechanical, electrical background, just type in Texas Instruments and we'll get a hold of you as well. And again, you can go to the site, hiremilitary.us. This is just a snippet of what we have. We have 30 vacancies nationwide, hiremilitary.us, and you can scroll through SkillBridge opportunities if you filter through states. That's all I have, Lucy.
Thanks so much, Buff. Matt, Brandy, I'm going to come over to you. We've got a couple of minutes left today. We've got to go quick.
Okay, so I'll just go real quick here. A good thing, I have about 5 jobs to share, but it's all in the electrical field, and it's in different locations: Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Virginia. Basically, if you're in those areas, you have about 4 years of electrical maintenance training, competencies in preventive maintenance, predictive maintenance, computerized electrical maintenance, knowledge of PLC, and a requirement, knowledge of state and federal code regulations for that specific state. This is for you. Go to the hiremilitary.us website, and you can see all the different electrical positions. There's supervisor ones, there's basic electrician ones available. Check those out. Again, I was going to keep it short and sweet. Brandy has some really good ones. I think that reaches our demographic very well, so I'll turn it over to her.
Thanks, Matt. And it's something we've been talking about for a while is the U.S. Army TAP roles. We have positions that we're still sourcing for. Career Skills Program Administrators, Financial Counselors, Education Counselor, Administration Counselor, and Career Counselor. There are various locations. Best bet, since we're running out of time, go check our website. So I'll pass it back to you, Lucy.
Thank you so much. And one more from me. We've got an admin assistant role in Corona Del Mar, paying 60 to 62K, working Eastern time hours. So they call it Wall Street hours, even though they're Pacific time. So if you're looking for an admin assistant role in and around that area, definitely look at our website or drop the link, drop the comment below, and we will share that URL with you. Thanks, Jessica. I'm glad that you like our matching shirts. We appreciate that. That is slightly intentional, obviously, but it's always a pleasure to be here today. Thank you so much. For the first time ever, I'm relieved that there haven't been many questions, so we're not missing anybody in terms of answering. Matt, Buff, Brandy, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Veteran service brands who were here earlier, wonderful conversation. And to the rest of you, have a great week. Lovely to see you. And we'll see you next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern time for another episode of Hot Jobs with Hire Military. Take care. Bye-bye.